Hello everybody and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude here in my car. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed yet, please think about doing so. Make sure you tap that bell icon so you can be notified every single time I upload a new video. Also, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you watch this video all the way till the end, I got a joke at the end of every single video that I do. Now on with today's video. Hello everybody, I hope everyone out there is doing well. Today we're going to jump right into it with one from Most Amazing Top 10. This is the most haunting artifacts ever recovered from archaeological sites. So let's check it out.
Some discoveries from the ancient world feel so close you can practically sense the echoes of long-lost lives. Whether it's a lifelike face frozen in time or a chilling ritual object buried deep underground, these finds pack a visceral punch that's both fascinating and a little bit unsettling. Get ready for a journey through the most haunting artifacts ever unearthed, each one a tangible link to civilizations that continue to captivate us from beyond the ages. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we are talking about the High Andes discovery. High in the Andes, nearly on the border between Argentina and Chile, archaeologists uncovered 3 remarkably preserved individuals who belonged to the Inca civilization. Their garments, adorned with intricate designs, still looked surprisingly vibrant, and their braided hair remained perfectly intact despite the passage of centuries. The frigid mountain environment acted like a natural time capsule, keeping these figures in a near pristine state, complete with calm facial expressions that give little hint of the ceremony they likely took part in. Experts believe a sacred rite called Capacocha may explain their mountaintop resting place, though precisely why they were selected and what the full ritual entailed continues to spark debate. What truly captivates observers is how these figures look so peaceful, almost as if they've just fallen asleep, despite having existed during the mid-15th century CE. This unique find offers a direct glimpse into Inca spiritual life, reminding us that some ancient cultures honored important ceremonies in ways that are both awe-inspiring and also a touch unsettling. Next up, we are talking about the Tulland Man of the Bogs. Unearthed in 1950 on Denmark's Jutland Peninsula, Tulland Man presents one of the most striking examples of a bog body preservation. He was discovered with a cap on his head and a braided cord around his neck, a detail that hints at a ceremonial or otherwise dramatic end. Yet it's his face that truly leaves a lasting impression. His closed eyes and calm expression appears as though he's simply just taking a nap. The special chemistry of the peat bog tanned his skin, giving it a leather-like quality that has kept even the faint stubble on his chin recognizable. Scientists date his life back to around the 4th century BCE, a period rich in cultural practices that often involved returning offerings to the bogs. Though theories differ on the exact nature of his final moments, the contrast between the tension implied by the cord and his tranquil appearance remains profoundly intriguing. Today, Tulland Man stands as a silent ambassador from the distant past, showcasing how entire lifetimes can just be frozen in time. Next up, we are talking about the mummies of Guanajuato. In Guanajuato, Mexico, an unassuming cemetery became the unlikely stage for a haunting spectacle when local authorities began exhuming remains in the late 19th century. Thanks to the region's arid climate, many bodies had naturally mummified, resulting in torsos, limbs, and even faces that look startlingly intact. Some appear to have wide open mouths and twisting expressions, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of a silent scream scream. While these dramatic poses often stem from post-mortem processes rather than real-time anguish, it doesn't diminish the unsettling effect when you see them up close. Today, the Museo de las Momias exhibits these figures, allowing visitors an unvarnished encounter with something both deeply human and undeniably eerie. Each mummy's pose and preserved clothing offers clues to daily life in 19th century Guanajuato, turning them into unintentional storytellers. Next, we are talking about the Lady of Dai. Buried over 2,000 years ago, the individual known as the Lady of Dai has astonished the archaeological community with her almost unreal level of preservation. Discovered in the Mawangdu tombs near Changsha, China, she has skin that retains elasticity, bendable joints, and organs that could be examined in laboratory condition. Researchers attribute her condition to an exceptional burial system that involved multiple layers of lacquered coffins, plus a still unidentified fluid, creating a microenvironment where decay hardly stood a chance. This Han Dynasty aristocrat, whose given name was Xin Zhu, likely led a life of privilege, evidenced by her abundant silks and luxuries surrounding her. Yet, the sense of wonder quickly gives way to a mild unease when witnessing such a vivid link to the past. It's almost as if she exists in a twilight zone between life and death. Her discovery has allowed scientists to glean unprecedented details about health, diet, and even cosmetic practices from a civilization that thrived 2 millennia ago. Next up, we're talking about the Chachilla mummies. Sitting upright in open-air graves under the scorching Peruvian sun, the figures in Chachilla Cemetery are a macabre reminder of how nature sometimes holds on to the past. Many date back nearly 1,000 years, and their preservation owes much to the bone-dry conditions of the Nazca Desert. Torn textiles still cling to skeletons, and in some cases, strands of hair drape across shoulders in a spectral fashion. With their mouths often agape and eye sockets fixed on the eternal horizon, these mummies create a stark confrontation between the living and the long deceased. Despite the initially jarring appearance, these remains have proven incredibly valuable for understanding the cultural practices of the region's ancient peoples. Grave goods, pottery shards, and remnants of clothing all lend insight into how these desert dwellers lived and honored their dead. Next, we are talking about the vampire burial of Lugnano. Nestled in a 5th century Italian cemetery, a particular burial site earned a legendary nickname. Archaeologists found a skeleton with a sizable stone placed firmly in its mouth, a practice associated with local lore aimed at preventing a rise from the grave. Nicknamed the Vampire of Lugnano, this discovery points to the depth of fear people once held about the dead possibly returning. Adding to the eerie atmosphere, researchers unearthed signs of disease, suggesting the community was dealing with a troubling outbreak that might have fueled supernatural worries. Although modern perspectives see the stone-in-mouth practice as an extreme measure driven by strong beliefs and traditions, it still feels like a story straight from the pages of an old folktale. Next, we are talking about the Shagir idol. Pulled from a Russian peat bog in the late 19th century, the Shagir idol has quietly stood guard over millennia of human history. Radiocarbon dating suggests it's over 11,000 years old, making it the oldest known wooden sculpture on Earth. Rising over twice the height of an average person, this towering figure is intricately carved with geometric patterns and distinct facial features that give it a strangely commanding presence. Scholars debate its original use. Some propose it was a totem, while others guess it had ceremonial significance or was a map of spiritual knowledge.
So
either way, the idol's large,
human.
watchful eyes and segmented body radiate an air of mystery that transcends time. Its discovery in a bog was fortunate, as the high acidity and low oxygen in the peat prevented decay for thousands of years. Despite continued studies, the Shagir idol remains an enigma, a wordless record of a culture so ancient that it may never fully yield its secrets. Next, we are talking about the Mount Owen Moa Claw. Deep within a cave on New Zealand Zealand's Mount Owen, explorers made a discovery that feels straight out of a fantasy novel. A gigantic claw, still retaining muscle and skin, was all that remained of a moa, an enormous flightless bird that once roamed these islands. Even though the species has been extinct for centuries, the claw's condition looks alarmingly fresh, as though it belonged to a creature that passed away only recently. The moa itself stood as a formidable presence in ancient New Zealand,
like
towering over most humans and roaming forests with little to fear, aside from local predators and environmental changes. Holding the claw in hand, or even just seeing photos, can trigger a visceral sense of time travel, bridging the gap between a lost natural world and our present day. It is a jarring reminder that Earth has witnessed countless species fade into history, sometimes leaving behind artifacts that practically dare us to believe they're still alive. Next, we are talking about the plaster casts of Pompeii. When the great eruption of Mount Vesuvius sealed Pompeii under layers of ash in 79 CE, an entire city was frozen in a moment of panic. Many centuries later, archaeologists noticed hollow pockets in the hardened ash, which turned out to be spaces where bodies had once been. By filling these voids with plaster, they created three-dimensional casts of people and animals caught in their final, desperate moments. The resulting figures are both tragic and mesmerizing.
Very
Faces
tragic.
twisted in fear, limbs thrown over heads for protection, pets curled up beside their owners. It is a raw, emotional snapshot of a bustling city suddenly brought to a standstill. Walking through the excavation sites, you can't escape the sensation that you're witnessing history as it happened rather than as a distant concept. For many, the plaster casts serve as a powerful memento mori, a Latin phrase reminding us that death comes for everyone. And finally, in our number one spot today, we have the Siberian Ice Maiden. Hidden beneath the icy terrain of Siberia's Ukok Plateau, a burial chamber protected a figure often referred to as the Ice Maiden or the Princess of Ukok. She wore intricately crafted garments and was accompanied by 6 horses, signifying a high rank or special status in her society. Even more striking are the ornate tattoos that remain visible on her skin, depicting mythic creatures and revealing sophisticated artistry from thousands of years ago. The permafrost preservation allowed for such impeccable detail that researchers can study everything from the texture of her clothing to the pigments used in her body art. The horses by her side suggest elaborate burial customs and a strong belief in the afterlife where status and companionship were still important. Each new insight gleaned from her remains sparks debates over how best to handle such discoveries, since local communities often hold strong cultural and spiritual connections to them. Standing face to face with this ancient figure is a potent reminder that while centuries may separate us, the human story remains surprisingly relatable and undeniably haunting. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking.
Yeah, I'd almost want to just leave him alone, let him rest in peace, but then again, we learn a lot from it. So, I don't know, it's kind of like a catch-22, but I thought that was really, really interesting, and some of it's pretty morbid. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now it's time for a joke. You know, they say that people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but people in Abu Dhabi do.